this episode of Around Town, we'll celebrate recovery at the 57th Drug Court graduation. Then we'll head over to Cleveland City Hall to see the swearing in of Mr. Ronald Bakeman as the new Internal Affairs Superintendent for the Cleveland Division of Police. We'll be right back with more Around Town.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Welcome back to Around Town.
So I want to welcome all of you, all the graduates' family and friends and supporters and everybody who's made this day come to fruition. Thank you for coming here. Thank you to Rocky River for hosting this. And this is a great place, and I'm so glad that all of you all are here, despite the weather. But it is for a great occasion, and you guys look so good. I'm used to seeing you every Wednesday in court, and I know you're not happy to be there, but you're happy to be here today, and I can tell from the smiling faces, and you guys are all dressed up, and you have your boutonnieres and your corsages, and I just love it. And that's what we're about. We're about celebrating sobriety, and I know it's been a long haul, and I know you guys want to get your flowers and get out of here, but we do want to make sure that it is a special occasion for all of you. So thank you so much again, graduates and everyone else. Again, this is the 57th graduation. So 56 other groups before you have been where you sat. And that's been over a period of 20 years. The Greater Cleveland Drug Court has been in existence for 20 years. And this is our 57th graduation. And I believe, and Flash, you can correct me, but I believe that's almost 1,700 graduates. Something like that, almost 1,700 graduates. And most of those graduates have remained clean and sober. So yes, we do lose somebody along the way, but most of them have remained clean and sober. So I'm so glad that I have the opportunity to be here and to preside over this drug court and to preside over healthiness and sobriety and reuniting families and all of that. It's just very, very gratifying. So I'm going to bring up one of our hosts, and she is going to introduce your keynote speaker, and so that's Judy. Oh, I'm sorry. Not Judy.
We have a speaker tonight who has been personally touched by addiction. Her entire family has been affected by this disease. She has done activist work for folks suffering from addiction, and she's here to offer her words of wisdom from the standpoint of a mom. If we can put our hands together and welcome Ms. Susan Lashinger.
Hi, I'd like to congratulate each and every one of you today for successfully completing your program. Your courage and determination is truly inspiring. To get to this place, you have been taught many ways to get better and to stay better, and I hope that you use all of them to the fullest in your long-term recovery. I would also like to thank each and every family member and friend who has encouraged you and supported you along the way. Please stand if your son or daughter is a graduate here today. And please stand if you are a spouse or significant other of a graduate. And if you're a grandparent. If you're an adult child. If you're an older sibling. And if you're a friend. Now, please be seated if you do not love your graduate here today. And please be seated if you have not tried in many ways to help them. Wow, graduates, there's a lot of support in this room for you. They do for you because they love you and they want you to succeed. They're your cheerleaders, your caretakers, and your advocates. And if their story is like mine, much of their attention and focus over the past many years has been on you and your struggles with addiction. And like me, during these years, they may have neglected themselves and others. So I am here today to shift the attention and focus from you to your loved ones, because addiction is a family disease, and they are as much a part of this story as you are. And by thinking and feeling clearer along the way, they have carried the weight of your addiction. I'm a mom whose 23-year-old son has struggled with the disease of addiction for over 10 years. And I'm a mom who has learned some things over the years that have helped me to get better while living with my son's addiction. For too many years, our lives were fractured because I chose to ignore the signs of addiction, so it stayed hidden. And because I believed my son's addiction was a choice, I thought if I just loved him enough, or if he just loved me enough, he could stop. And when he couldn't, I felt I had failed. And I took his behavior towards me personally. And so I tried to control it. I thought if I protected my son from the natural consequences of his drug use, he would use less. And I thought that if I manipulated his environment, I would cure his addiction. And I believed the changes were mine to make because as his mom, I must have done something to cause it. But my purpose here today is not to focus on how I thought I caused it, or how I tried to cure it, or how I was consumed with the what-ifs and the if-onlys, because when dealing with addiction, we all have a different but similar story. Today I'm here to tell you how I got better, what I do to stay better, and how I maintain a healthy relationship with my son, whether or not he is working on his recovery or a relapse. And I do this by remembering the definition of insanity, my doing the same things over and over and expecting different results. I call it our dance. It was when I hit bottom that I realized I had become sick. I was addicted to the addict, and everything I did and said revolved around my son's addiction. If he had a good day, I could. But if his day was bad, mine had to be too. And when I made it my full-time job to fix him, other things in life, family, friends, my health, and even the birth of our first grandchild took a back seat. And it was when I hit bottom that I realized I was an enabler. What's an enabler, you ask? An enabler is someone that does for someone else what he should and can do for himself. I was an enabler when my children were young. That's how I kept them safe. And as my older children grew, I slowly became an advisor. That's how they had wings to fly. But when my youngest child struggled early on with addiction, the lines were blurred. And I thought that if I continued to enable him, that I could keep him safe, but I couldn't. A cartoon comes to mind about enabling an addict, the one with the mother telling her adult son that she's completed his 12 steps for him and that they're on his bed next to his laundry. And I was well on my way to becoming that mother. But most importantly, I had to understand that much of the enabling was for me. So I would be liked, so we looked good from the outside, and so I could assure the best possible outcome. And while I saw myself as a selfless person back then, I was in fact acting selfishly by preventing my son from learning early on the negative consequences of his behavior. And because my enabling did not work, I was afraid all the time. And as his months of struggling with addiction became years, my fear turned to anger. So I sought help. And I found a group where I learned about the disease of addiction. I discovered why I was an enabler, and I received the support I needed to get better. I call it Our Dance Interrupted. When I first started attending the group, I was full of shame, guilt, and fear. But after listening to other stories, I realized there were many just like me, and eventually the shame and guilt went away. And as I learned to establish healthier boundaries, some of the fear began to subside. Here are the few of the healthy boundaries I have established for myself. I am allowed to feel safe in my home. Let me repeat that. I am allowed to feel safe in my home. I should not have to hold on to or hide my belongings to keep them. I choose not to be around anyone using drugs or abusing alcohol. I do not give my son money, whether it is to pay a bill, buy food, or put gas in his car. And I will not lie or cover for anyone, regardless of the circumstances. And I have discovered that healthy boundaries are important in all of my relationships. And I continue to attend meetings so that I stay better and use what I've learned to help others. To quote a line from a popular TV show, living with an addict is a special kind of hell, and a loved one is even worse. And it is. But I am here to tell you, parents and loved ones, that you are not alone, that you can get help, and that you can get better, even if your loved one does not. I know that for some of us, it's difficult to imagine that we can get better when our child is struggling. But I have learned that I have to stay better if I want to help my son. When we fly, flight attendants remind parents to place the oxygen mask on themselves first before helping their child. And now that my mask is firmly secured, I am better able to help my son when he is ready for recovery. Some important lessons I have learned in my own recovery from enabling are these, and please pay close attention to the no matter whats. Number one, when my son is using, he loves the drug more than he loves me, no matter what he says. Number two, I have to choose to love my son and hate the addiction, no matter what he does. Number three, addiction is a progressive disease. It is not a choice or a moral failing. And like any disease, it can be treated, no matter how society views it. Number four, I cannot love my son or do for him or enable him enough to make him stop using, no matter how hard I try. Number five, I did not cause it, so I cannot control it, and I cannot cure it, no matter what I do or don't do, or what other people think. And number six, it is okay for me to live my life in the manner I choose, no matter how he chooses to live his. And so over time, I learned to accept the things I cannot change, the things I can change, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I have decided that I will no longer stay silent about the disease of addiction while our children are dying. Today, my boundaries are strong, and I have my life back. Today, my no is a complete sentence. Today, I'm an enabler in long-term recovery, and I no longer need our dance. Today, my son is struggling with the disease of addiction, and he is choosing not to get treatment and to work on his recovery. And despite his choices, I stand before you, filled with gratitude for having learned these lessons, filled with joy for having had the opportunity to share them with all of you, and filled with hope that something I said today helps someone else to get better and stay better. And if you would like any information on education and support groups in our area, please contact Tori. Thank you very much.
Wow, let's give Miss Susan another round of applause for that powerful message. Okay, next we have someone coming to speak to our graduates from Project 180, Mr. Mike Centerfonte.
How's everybody doing? My name's Mike. If we could just give it up one more time for the graduates. I was a client of Dave Mataya's drug court program, so I could absolutely relate to how you guys are all feeling right now. It's an exciting time, a huge accomplishment in all of your lives. I'm a member of Project 180, which is a support network for clients and family and friends of drug court members and alumni. We do monthly events. It's a good time. It's having fun in recovery. There's a lot out there to do. There's a lot of good people involved, and it's a great way to stay active, stay plugged in with the recovery community. We have a Facebook page. We are doing a pancake brunch on March 18th. Please come out, bring your friends, family, kids, everybody, and join it. The community's great, and we'd love to see you there. But again, congratulations to the clients on graduating. Phenomenal. So thank you.
At this time, if I can have our public defender and our county prosecutor come up. And just so you know, every Wednesday we have court, and we always have a public defender, we always have a prosecutor, and we're all part of the team to make sure that everybody gets to a space of sobriety, and we are working mightily behind the scenes. Talk about each and every one of you individually every Wednesday. So if your ears are burning, it's because we're talking about you. We want to make sure that your case plan is tailor-made just for you, because we want everybody to be successful. And as I said before, you've heard me say it, we're like the Marines. We don't want to leave anybody behind. We want to drag everybody kicking and screaming to a place of sobriety.
At this time, I would like to make a motion to seal the records of all of our graduates here today.
Well, with regard to those defendants who are admitted into the drug court and are graduating today, on felony cases that were amended to misdemeanors, the state, of course, has no objections. On behalf of the state of Ohio, my boss, Cuyahoga County Prosecutor Mike O'Malley, congratulations to all of you and best wishes going forward.
Thank you. It is so ordered. Thank you, Alonda Bush and Brian Murphy. Thank you very much. Okay, Tori, what else? Are you doing anything else? Well, I guess that brings us to the end of our program. It's been a great night, right? Yeah. I love presiding over these kinds of things, just triumph. And like I said before, you may have heard me say it before, you got to try and put a little oomph into it, and you will have triumph. So that's what this day is representing, triumph. Thank you so much. Please be an inspiration to others. Remember how you feel right now. This is the way you always want to feel. If you remember your tools, remember your sponsor. Always call somebody if you need to be talked off a ledge. And please inspire our other participants. Make them be strong. Encourage them to be in it, because they get a lot of discouragement, as you know. So we need more encouragement, less discouragement. Thank you for coming. We have cake and punch in the back. Thank you so much. We'll see you at the next graduation.
We'll be right back with more Around Town.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. And I appreciated it very much, the attention that was given. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Welcome back to Around Town.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today we're here to appoint the Internal Affairs Superintendent, a position that we've looked forward to that hasn't been filled in a little while, something that we agreed to under the settlement agreement, and it might take our Internal Affairs unit in a little bit different direction. So today we are appointing Mr. Ronald Bakeman to the position, but before we start, I'd like everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And now I'd like Reverend Christopher Liberati to come up for an invocation.
We pledge that we are one nation under God, and so I would offer this prayer. That God, you would bless Ron Bakeman with wisdom and guide his every action, seeking justice for those who he is presiding over and for the office that he is leading. This we pray in your name. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend. Now I'd like to introduce Mayor Frank Jackson to give a couple remarks on the oath of office. Mayor.
All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon. As we will be swearing in Mr. Ronald Bakeman as Special Assistant to the Mayor, Internal Affairs Superintendent. This position is a position, as the Deputy Chief mentioned, that we agreed upon in with the Department of Justice, and it is part of the consent decree. This position would be responsible for supervising investigations in matters involving all internal allegations of officer misconduct and ensuring that these investigations are conducted in a comprehensive, objective, and timely manner. The position will be a direct report to the Chief of Police. Mr. Bakeman is a veteran of the U.S. Marine Corps, and upon leaving service, he became an attorney. He practiced law both in the private and sector and as in legal aid society. Before becoming an assistant county, Cuyahoga County public defender in 1977. In 1979, he became an assistant prosecutor for the county, and he held that position for 4 years. He then started working as assistant U.S. attorney with the Northern District of Ohio in 1983 until his retirement in 2011. During this time, Mr. Bakeman was responsible for sensitive and top secret information. He served as a criminal division supervisor of the National Security Unit, the Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Unit, and Asset Forfeiture Unit. He trained U.S. military JAG officers and Afghan citizen prosecutors in Bagram.
That's in Bagram.
Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan, and worked as an instructor at the Department of Justice, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Drug Enforcement Administration, and the International Law Enforcement Academy in Budapest, Hungary. Mr. Bakeman graduated from Case Western Reserve University, where he received his law degree, and he told me your undergraduate was in Kansas.
That's correct.
What was the name of it?
Baker University.
Baker University in Kansas. He was an adjunct professor at Cleveland State University, where he taught trial skills and trial practices. He has received many awards and is recognized from the Department of Justice, including the Director's Award for Superior Performance by an Assistant U.S. Attorney. You ready, Ms. Bakeman?
Yes.
Okay. Could you raise your right hand and repeat after me? I state your name.
I, Ronald Bruce Bakeman,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the codified ordinance
the codified ordinances
and charter
and charter
of the City of Cleveland,
of the City of Cleveland,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties of
discharge the duties of
Internal Affairs Superintendent,
Internal Affairs Superintendent,
State of Ohio,
State of Ohio,
during my continuance in said office.
during my continuance in said office.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
She'll come back over to the podium.
Thank you, Mayor, and congratulations, Mr. Bakeman. We'd like to have a couple remarks now by the Chief of Police, Chief Williams.
Thanks, Chief. Mr. Bakeman, congratulations again.
Thank you, sir.
As you can see by the bio that the mayor read for Mr. Bakeman, he is very much capable of this job, has the qualifications necessary to take this job to the next level and to do a great job for the citizens of the city and for this division. Mr. Bakeman went through an extensive process. We actually have been trying to get this position filled for about 1.5 years, not for lack of trying, but really to find the best suited candidate. And I think we found that candidate, Mr. Ronald Bakeman. So again, I welcome him to the Division of Police. I must apologize to his family right now up front. He's going to be working a lot of hours away from home and family life, and probably bringing a lot of that stuff home with him. So I apologize, but it's an important job, and I know that he's going to do a great job in it, and I know that he's going to represent both the division and the people of this city well. So again, Ron, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the Division of Police. And we have a lot of work to do. Are you going to? No, I'll do it myself. I'm going to give Mr. Bakeman an opportunity just to say a few words, and then we'll continue with the program. Right?
Thank you very much, Chief. It's always dangerous to give an attorney an opportunity to just say a few words. But I do, and I would be remiss not to thank the mayor and the chief and the people from the Department of Justice, the monitors, and Judge Oliver, who have all expressed confidence in me that I can fulfill this position. I've assured the mayor and the chief in the past that I will come to work every day to live up to the faith and confidence that they have had and entrusted in me by hiring me for this position. And most importantly, I want to reach out to the people of Cleveland and say to them that as we embark on this journey with the Internal Affairs, that every decision will be made solely on the facts and the law, that no decision will be based on race or position. That's the commitment that I made to the mayor and to the police chief when I interviewed to the job, and that's the commitment that I make to the citizens of Cleveland, Ohio. Thank you.
Well, that concludes our ceremony for today. And Mr. Bakeman, you have a long weekend since it's a holiday. Enjoy, and we'll see you back on Tuesday for a lot of work.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for watching Around Town, only on TV 20. We are Cleveland.